and welcome to another edition of Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. And as you can see, I finally decided on a title. It's nothing brilliant, but, you know, it's kind of a rough around the edges show, so I thought I liked the whole pirate essence of it. I don't think it's like we're coming to you illegally or anything, like, you know, when they used to do pirate radio shows back in the day, but I don't know, gives it a little bit of an edge, and since this is rough and are, you know, full of, probably lots of mistakes, pirate radio just seemed fine. This is our second edition here, and thank you for all of you who took time to listen to the first and are back for more. I really appreciate that. As I said, I'm just putting it out there. I don't really care who listens to it. It'd be nice to have a whole bunch of people listen, I won't lie. But, you know, even just a handful, it's worth doing. I'm kind of just doing it to, you know, it keeps my creative juices flowing. It gives me another creative outlet, and I like those. I think everybody should have it, and that's what I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes. On the last episode, I mentioned that, you know, we're going to put little bits of music in between the segments, just so you know there's a bit of a break. It's not big breaks at all, but, you know, if you need to pause it and run to the bathroom or something, I thought it was a good idea. But I mentioned that the music we'd probably be using is rather illegal, but I found out since that there might be the odd song that we use that might cause some trouble. So if you go back to listen to old episodes, you know, I joke that we might have some fake cool jazz music, because that's what they do on DVDs when they can't get the rights. But we actually looked into it, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're using music that they're okay, or it's ad supported. I can't remember the actual name. I don't do all the technical aspects. My technical basically ends with me turning on the microphone. And but apparently we have looked into that, and so we're trying to do everything as up on the up as we can, on the up and up as we can. But maybe we do the odd thing that might not be allowed, and that's the pirate aspect of all this. See, though, there is a little bit in there. Anyhow, I'm going to talk about a few things. In this segment, I'm going to talk a little bit more about improv. On the last episode, I talked about how I perform improv comedy, and I've also had the chance to teach it. And it's a big part of my life, and so I thought I'd spend a segment telling you a little bit about how I got into it, and just why improv has changed my life in many different ways. First of all, I was at a crossroads in my life back when I found improv, much like I am right now, and trying to find new things. But we're going back now about, 13 years maybe. And I was looking for something. I even remember the day I was talking to my partner Mike and saying, I need something new. And it actually literally dropped into my lap. Now, my introduction to improv, I went back to school in the 70s, 80s, and improv wasn't taught in drama class. We were still, very scripted stuff. And we never had that. Now high schools do improv, and that's impressive. I think that's great. But I went to get tickets for a play, Beautiful Thing, that was being shown at a place called the Staircase Theater. And I went to pick up the tickets, and when I bought the tickets, there was a pamphlet about some of the stuff that they had coming up. And one of them was that Sunday they were doing an improv, kind of a beginner's class that all were welcome. And as I said, my introduction to improv was Whose Line Is It Anyhow on TV, and the only improv I had ever done up to that point was some really good friends of mine had an improv party where they did some of the games from the show, and I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't know if it would be anything like that, but I decided I needed something so I could go and try it. So I went to the beginners and had a wonderful teacher, Gary Reed, who got me on my journey to improv, and I always thank him for not sucking as a teacher, because, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have gone back. But the truth of the matter is just before I got to the staircase, I thought to myself, well, what what if it's all young people doing it? What if it's all just, really young? I was in my 30s at the time, I believe, and I was like, maybe I'm too old for this. Well, when I got there, I was pleasantly surprised because the class was filled with everybody from like 17-year-olds to, there was a woman, I believe, that probably was in her 60s. And as soon as we started playing our warm-ups and exercises at the beginning, it was like we were all transported to, us being kids again and playing in the school. Colette Kendall, a good friend of mine, she always refers to it as we all go back into the sandbox, and it doesn't matter about age and that because we're all playing. And I absolutely adored it. And I went home that night and I said, Mike, I'm going to this. It was Sunday afternoons at that time, and I said, I'm clearing my slate and going every Sunday. I got really quite obsessed with improv, and the people who get really into it because suddenly improv is their life. They go everything. They start going to all the shows. They go to that. And the Staircase was a great place. You're going to hear me mention the Staircase a lot. It's a theater on Dundurn Street here in Hamilton, Ontario. And it's just an amazing place that has led me to probably some of the greatest friendships that I have had in my life, and has let me to meet the most wonderful variety of people, from engineers to musicians to filmmakers, photographers, just you name it, poets and comedians, and just an amazing amount. And a lot of those people got their start doing improv at the Staircase. And I went there with no aspirations or anything. I just literally liked playing the games. I liked having fun. I always thought it would be cool if they asked me to do a show, but it's not where my head was going. I was just happy to have something to do again, something that made me smile, where I was meeting, great people and just, smiling, just doing the thing. Now, for those of you who don't know what improv comedy is, because 9 times out of 10, when I tell people I do improv comedy, I hate to say it, but some people still picture me doing stand-up. Stand-up is very different, and I give all respect to stand-up comedians. I know a whole bunch of them, and what they do is really hard. I'm not saying improv comedy isn't hard, because some people think stand-up is hard. Some people think improv is hard. I personally think stand-up is hard. Improv comes easy to me. I'm not saying I'm the best improviser around, but it's still challenging to me. But I just like getting lost in characters and worlds, and when it gels, it's just a real magic. But anyhow, for people who don't know the difference, stand-up is, of course, where you're telling jokes. And I know there's some comedian friends out there saying, I can't believe he's wasting his podcast on telling. But I'm telling you, I tell people I'm an improviser. I do improv comedy. Yes, some of them know Whose Line. But most people still think I'm a stand-up comedy act and that I should just be funny all the time and, tell us some jokes. And I'm like, well, it doesn't work that way. So that's why I'm explaining it. So we basically, get a word or some ideas from the audience and we make it up right on the spot. We make characters up, we make stories up, and hopefully it's good what we do. I've seen a lot of great improv. I've seen a lot of bad improv. It's really hit and miss, but usually it's a lot of fun and great. So, as I said, I had no plans, and then after several months there, I got offered a chance to start doing shows. I met an incredible guy, Kevin Patrick Robbins, KPR to many, and he came in as artistic director, and I honestly thought, oh my God, I've worked so hard and it's not going to happen now. And he actually put me into shows, and so I'm very thankful for them, and he taught me so much stuff as well. I've had some amazing teachers. I can't even name them all, so hopefully during the course of this podcast I can give shout outs through the many different times. But anyhow, KPR took a chance on me, and then I started doing shows, and my confidence level built. One of the things I did improv for was I was always shy. A lot of people are shocked to hear that I'm shy, but I can still be shy in a group and stuff. But it broke me out of my shell, and I got to perform, and I started doing a whole bunch of great shows, from Psychobabble to How We First Met to Crazy Eights, Pizza Inferno, just a lot of great stuff. And then I eventually started producing my own shows. I did a show called The Devlin Show, which was an improvised TV show that we did on stage, and, you know, it was just wonderful. And then from there, I, you know, produced other shows like the Devlin Monologues and the Devlin Improv Party. And I began teaching, which, okay, maybe after I saw my first improv show, I started thinking, wouldn't it be great if I could do this and be asked to do shows? But after, I never in a million years thought I would be teaching, and they asked me if I wanted to try beginners, and I decided to go for it. And teaching has been a wonderful experience for me. And to have broken out of my shell, and now I have seen so many people come to improv, and I get to see them grow as performers. And I went from beginners to teaching advanced. I've taught all age, all different people in different stages of their lives. And I've had some wonderful feedback. People who've told me that they've just loved my classes, or felt challenged by them, or were entertained by them. Some have gone on to do improv shows, and I get a little bit proud knowing I may have had a small piece in making them grow as performers. Some have just taken improv to build their confidence. I have an amazing lady named Debbie Ellis who, she came out to improv for quite a while. And, she told me once, I may not get to do a lot of shows. I may not ever do a show. But it has helped me so much find a voice. I don't get stepped on anymore. I'm okay to speak up for myself. And that, to me, is just amazing. Because it's great that we're creating comedians and performers, and even if they don't stay in improv and they go maybe try their hand at stand-up, or maybe they try their hand at scripted plays and musicals, improv is such a great stepping stone to just about anything, even to build your confidence and get you thinking. I know another lady, Gisela, who told me that she's a writer, and she finds improv helps her develop stories and find different voices for characters and stuff, for narration and stuff. And that amazes me. I love hearing that. And I challenge you out there, if you want to try something different, it's, improv is a wonderful thing, and you'd probably be surprised. There is probably improv no matter where you're listening to this from. A lot of the people that come to the staircase, we like to ask them how they found us, and a lot tell us that I just Googled staircase and the city that I'm in, and you will find stuff. And that's one good thing the internet is for. And I challenge you, if you're looking for something different, improv is fun. It's very social. It can be very... the beginners, we always have a huge laugh. And that's a great medicine to have. And quite frankly, it is a wonderful place to just find your voice and reach out. And, even if if improv scares the hell out of you, and it does. Some people are terrified when you say, oh, you should do improv comedy. And after they've seen it, they're like, no. But you know what? I challenge you to go out and find something. Because too many times we get stuck in ruts where we go to work and then we come home, and it's always easier to just take your pants off and just kind of relax, and that's it. And then you start the day up again where you go to work in the morning. But you know what? Get out there and find clubs. If it's not improv, find something that you can be passionate about. You know, there's a lot of gaming clubs out there, or just lots of different things. You know, people with different interests. You can find this locally. You can use the internet. You can get, those newspapers that they usually have in most cities and stuff that tell you where meeting places is. Because, as you get older, we tend to withdraw. And I think that's not always the best thing. I think a lot of people think, oh, that's something I would do when I'm young. But you know what? I have met people. As I said, I didn't start this until I was in my 30s. And I have met people who are, in their 40s, 50s, who go out and do things. They volunteer for stuff, and they find that they're doing stuff that they didn't imagine that they could do. And they are so, you can see they're so fulfilled that it also puts a spark into other things in their life. Makes going to work better knowing that you've got something fun to do later on in the week. Makes your relationships more special because you're meeting new people, but I always find when you meet new people, it also makes you cherish the other people in your life. So whether it's improv or whether you're just going out and, checking out some clubs, there's writing clubs out there. I know people who do rowing, volleyball, curling, baseball. They do a little bit of everything, and I love reading about it because you can just see that it recharges their batteries. And I know it's hard because I am one of those people. Sometimes I come home from work and the pants come off, I sit in front of the couch or the computer and that's it. I'm vegged for the night. And you know what? We all need nights like that, but give yourself 1 or 2 nights, 3, 4, where you actually go out and do something. And if you're in a relationship, do something together. That's absolutely fun. So I definitely recommend it. I personally say improv all the way because of how much it did for me. But I know it's not for everyone, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Anyhow, just go out and do something because you will thank me later. Anyhow, I'm going to take a short break, and then I'm going to get a little controversial, though I don't know why. It shouldn't be. But I'm going to talk a little bit about a movie that came out recently that everybody else seems to be talking about too. So why not me? Anyhow, take a little bit of a break. 50 Shades of Grey. I say that title, and some people get excited, some people get infuriated, but it definitely has become a pop culture phenomenon. I'm specifically going to talk about the movie. I have not read the books, but I have seen the new movie that is out, and I just want to talk about it a little bit, not just because everybody's talking about it, but I just want to kind of put my 2 cents in the ring. As I said, I haven't read the book, so this isn't going to be a total review of the movie. I just want to kind of review it a little bit, but at the same time, I want to talk mostly about the attitudes towards this, because I just can't believe the stuff that some people are saying about this movie. Right now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to be open and honest and candid. So if this is something that infuriates you, do me a favor and just skip 20 minutes into it and then don't listen to it, because I don't want this to be an argument or discussion. I respect your side of it, but I am going to just be talking about my side of it. First of all, I saw 50 Shades of Grey, and some people might say, why would you watch that? First of all, I'm a movie buff. I like to see as many movies as I can. I wish I could see more. If I could get a job where somebody paid me to review movies and I could just watch movies, it'd be great. I don't get to see all the movies I want to see, but one of the reasons I want to see this movie is because people are talking about it. And if you're a movie buff, you want to see what all the controversy is all about, or lack of controversy is all about. And 50 Shades definitely has controversy. Whether you're on the side of loving it, as in the tons of soccer moms who probably absolutely adore this, and just women in general. I'm not trying to be, say there's a stereotype behind this, or if you're one of the people against it. And I don't mind you being against it, that's your business, and I respect that. But the truth of the matter is I've seen so much negativity towards this, and mostly because of two things. And I'm going to get that out of the way right now before I get to this movie, because I didn't hate the movie. I didn't think it was the greatest movie ever. I found it mildly titillating. But I didn't hate the movie. I thought it was kind of interesting, and yeah, they have me interested in seeing what's going to happen next, though I have a bad feeling I can kind of predict where it's going, and I'll be very disappointed in that aspect, but I think I'm right. But I'm not going to give any spoilers away or anything like that. But the two things that I want to address first is the people who say that this totally is not the template for the BDSM community, the bondage community. I might have got some of the letters mixed up there. And first of all, I'm not even going to listen to that. Okay, if you're into all that stuff, bondage, S&M, whatever, submission, that's fine. And I don't think any pop culture material should be used as any kind of definition of what goes on in your community. And I don't think any person interested in this would just stop at this movie and say, oh, this is what it's all about. I think anybody interested in this would go out into those communities and find out exactly what they're all about. And the people who say that this paints a bad image of that community, I think that's just absolutely, I'm just going to write that off as ridiculous. Because this is a movie telling a story of two people, and this is what they commit to. They're fake characters. The lead character's name is like Anastasia Steele. That doesn't even sound like a real person. But this is the contract these two characters come up with. They're not trying to say, we're setting the example for this whole community. So I'm just not even going to listen to that ridiculousness. It's just that. Now, all the people who have been painting, they've had clips from the movie and posting it on their Facebook and saying, this is a movie that promotes rape. This is absolutely ridiculous. Rape is something very sensitive to me. It's a very personal subject to me, and I don't like when rape is thrown around, just to label everything like that. First of all, the most ridiculous thing about this is the amount of times in this movie that they say, we can stop at any time. You don't have to do this. You can leave right now. Is just, to me, it's unbelievable how many times he lets her get out of it. Because for those of you who don't know about this, it's basically about a woman who becomes an intern at this business, and she starts kind of having a relationship with the president, and he's this rich millionaire good-looking guy, but as it goes through, he starts revealing that he is into bondage and submission and all that stuff, and she starts testing the waters and starting out to this. That's all I'll really say on the topic. But you could almost have a drinking game of how ridiculously amounts of times he tells her they can back out of this, she doesn't have to do this, They have safe words. They have almost safe words. Like, it's just crazy. But because somebody saw one line that they decided, let's put that in there because it looks like she is being forced to do stuff against her will. She never is. And that just infuriates me because there's so many times that rape is such an important thing and that's not being looked into. But people choose to go after a movie that is just that, a movie. And as I said, she can bow out at any time, and does in the movie a couple of times. And so the fact that this movie is being held as like it glorifies rape, just ridiculous. Now the movie itself, as I said, it's nothing brilliant. It's fine. I thought it was quite interesting. When they casted this movie, I really wasn't excited about the casting. But I have to say that they did a good job. I think the person who surprised me most is Dakota Johnson. I felt she was a little flat in the trailers, as in her performance just didn't seem. But as I watched the movie, she is actually really perfect in this role. She has an innocence about her. She has a sweetness. But you can see there's, a darkness that wants to get to know him, wants to see her Christian Grey and see what he's all about. And I think she played that really incredibly well. And I give her accolades because I think she took a two-dimensional character and actually breathed some life into it. Now, the male lead, Jamie Dornan, I believe his name is, was originally supposed to be played by Charlie Hunnam. Now, when Charlie Hunnam was up for the role, I was really excited. And to be honest, I can think about 20, 30 actors who I would have rather seen in this role. This Jamie Dornan is a good-looking man, I won't lie. He's not drop-dead gorgeous. He's kind of like a smoldering good looks, but he's almost got an awkwardness about him. And he's been taking a lot of flack because of the fact that a lot of people found him very flat in this movie and very just cold and that. And I did too. I wasn't, when I first see him, I look and I said, wow, he's good looking. And something about his eyes I found that were really kind of, I don't know. There was, he had something like there was something behind his eyes, which I thought was really quite nice. But as I got to know the character, I felt that they picked the right guy because of the fact that if he was just drop dead good looking and, the kind of guy that you would just follow through anything, I don't think I'd buy it. But as you get to know Christian Grey, he is quite damaged. And I think the coldness actually works. I think the fact that he isn't obviously, this gorgeous thing, I think it really works. And I think I was intrigued by him as he grew because you do find out that the life he leads is all because of this damaged past he had. And it does make you feel like Anastasia Steele and try to want to get to know him, even though he scares you a little bit. And so I think it's good that he kind of didn't play it over the top, because he certainly could have. So I think they did some good choices. The story isn't very profound. I did find it interesting, and yes, it didn't make me want to run out and buy the next books to find out what happened, but I definitely will check out the next couple movies, even though I'm pretty sure I know how it's all going to end, and that will disappoint me a little bit, because I won't go into it, because I'd have to pretty much give details. But, I can't even really comment a lot. I found it a little bit, tantalating, whatever you want to call it. It didn't get me so turned on that I was running, around the house chasing Mike, trying to slap his ass with a spatula or anything like that. But there were moments that I thought were just kind of sexy, without going there. There are moments that are, a little laughable too. I actually found his, I can't remember what he called it, his sex dungeon, I thought was actually quite nice. I'm kind of glad Mike didn't see this movie, because I told him when we paint our bedroom next, I would like a nice red, bordello red, and his room is pretty much the color I wanted, and I think Mike would be freaked out that I might want to start hanging chains or something. But I would never get into the whole bondage thing due to the fact that I'm a little too ticklish for it. I couldn't do it. It would just drive me crazy. Now, a dominatrix, I could do that. I could certainly do that. Get my little whips and stuff like that. But it's just not my scene. But anyhow, so it's an enjoyable movie. It's not one that's, made me just absolutely love it. But I did find it intriguing, and I do look forward to the next ones. But the reason I wanted to talk mostly about this movie is because of the backlash on it. It is ridiculous. I think people... I'm not saying you can't have an opinion, and I respect your opinion. I don't have to agree with it, but I think you need to do some of the homework. You can't just take fragments of what the novel had and just, oh my God, that sounds like it's rape. Because you know what? You could take almost any book and take a line from it and twist it around to make it sound dirty or something to further your agenda. I hate rape culture too, but the truth of the matter is a big part of rape culture for me is that people slap the word rape on anything. And I think you need to do the homework. A lot of the people that I know that are complaining about these movies haven't read the books, they haven't read they haven't seen the movie, and that's great. Don't, if that's not your thing, but don't be calling it's crap when you haven't done the homework. Because you could put that on anything, and, let the people do this. What came out of the harm from this book? As I said, some, soccer moms probably, masturbated, reading this book, I'm sure some men probably read it to get some, tidbits, not just on the S&M part, but just, how do you pick up, chicks? And that's horrible that they're using it, but, it probably just thing. Or maybe as a couple, they started going to sex shops. They said that since the movie came out, there's been a peak in visits to the sex shops and sales for like toys and stuff like that. And me being a person who has never been afraid of sex, I don't think exploring is a horrible thing. And I think that's all this movie does. I don't think it glorifies rape or anything like that. I can't believe on my second podcast I've said the word rape so much. But don't get me wrong. If somebody is raped, or if somebody, is proven to be that, I will be the first to point fingers and want justice done. But I don't need it slapped on everything, or people telling me what I can and cannot see. Because, as much as we say it's a free speech world, it really isn't. I hate to say it. And that is just too bad. Because, basically, if you don't go with the status quo, you're looked at like, a rebel or somebody going against the system. And I don't think that's right. And especially a movie like this. This isn't going to be a movie that's going to be remembered in, 50 years. It'd be lucky if it's remembered, until the next movie comes out. Right now you're already seeing the Twilight movies are almost slowly, being forgotten out of our minds because, we've had so much other things take its place. And I think 50 Shades of Grey will follow suit. So, I wouldn't let it get your dander up. The one last thing I'll leave you with 50 Shades of Grey is one of the things I absolutely think is amazing about, I can't talk about the book, but the movie is I know a lot of ladies who claim that one thing that they get pissed off at with men is their fact that men always lie. That they wish they could find an honest man. That men are always trying to get out of stuff, or, not, you're not telling your true emotions. We need to speak honestly and open about our emotions. And the thing that makes me laugh most is after I watched 50 Shades of Grey, the first thing I thought is that Christian Grey is honest with this woman every step of the way. I don't do relationships. I don't date. I don't make love. I fuck. He is honest with her through every point. Women always say they want honesty, and then this book comes out, and they say how horrible this character is, how awful the book is, and it might be. But the truth of the matter is Christian Grey is a very honest man. He never hides who he is, and he always reveals it, and then says, if you're not interested in knowing more, you can leave. We can stop. But if you want to get to know me, this is it. So it makes me laugh that women want honesty in a relationship. This is one of the most honest characters I have ever seen in a film. He doesn't say, I'm a douchebag, but he does say, I'm damaged, I don't do romance, all that stuff. And yet he is being targeted as such a bad role model in movies today. Anyhow, I'm enough talking about 50 Shades of Grey. If I want to see something sexy, I'll stick with, pornography or something. Anyhow, on that note, because just saying the word pornography brings things to a halt, I'm going to lighten things up a bit and talk a little bit about nail polish when I come back. Yeah, I said that. Nail polish. I am back, and I am going to talk about a lighter subject now. A colorful subject. Fingernail polish. And I told you, you never know what you're going to get on my shows. I could be talking music once. I could be talking, emotions next. I could have a full breakdown on an upcoming show. You never know. Stay tuned and find out. I started painting my nails probably when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I don't know how it started. I just always liked the idea of it. And I probably just decided what it would be like to paint them black. And I painted them black, and I loved it. And then I decided, I could probably paint them metallic colors, and people wouldn't mind. Now, I had just come out of the closet, and when I came out of the closet, it wasn't a big parade. It wasn't a big anything. It was just, I'm gay. And deal with it. And if you don't want to deal with it, then thank you for being a part of my life so much, but I don't need you anymore. And luckily I didn't lose too many people, and the ones I did, I barely remember their names now. But anyhow, since I didn't have a big parade coming out, I just like to kind of blend in. A lot of people that have met me have said, wow, I didn't know Devlin was gay. When I first met you, and then they realize, wow, how did I miss it? He is a little bit more flamboyant. And I'm not saying if you wear nail polish, you're just gay, but when I grew up in the 80s, 90s, you couldn't do that kind of stuff. Now you see, kids trying all different things, but, you were labeled a freak early on. You wouldn't be necessarily labeled gay, but you'd be a freak. If I showed up at high school with that, with, my nails colored. So, and then I'd go to the metallics, and then I just started going into everything, sparkly, disco ball, and I just absolutely loved it. When I met my partner Mike, I was coloring my nails, and he was okay with that. Which was surprising, because he was only a little bit out of the closet to a couple family members. He has a real interesting coming out story, but it's his story to tell, so I won't tell it. But anyhow, so a lot of people thought that I gave up painting my nails when I met Mike. But Mike is not that kind of person. Anybody who's met Mike knows he's really laid back. He's not one to put his foot down. And he went out lots of places with me with my nails colored, and he actually kind of liked it. And then one day I just kind of got bored of it all and decided not to do it anymore. I still glossed my nails. I kind of like having just that shiny look. But the color went away, and that was it. I thought it was a phase, and that was it. So now here I am in my 40s. God help me, late 40s even. And last year I painted my nails. Now, every Halloween I tend to paint my nails black because I play a character named Count Devlin. And he sports black nail polish. And so, for a week I might have black nails for Halloween, sometimes just for the night. And this year I played Count Devlin a couple times, so I had it for about 2 weeks, and I liked wearing it again. And then I noticed colors, and, it's funny, after I painted my nails and stopped, every once in a while I'd see a color, and I'd get these monkey nerves where I'd start, insides were vibrating, saying, oh, I want to wear that. But I never followed through. So after wearing the black this last year around Halloween, I decided that I was going to pick up a couple. Working at Target, I managed to get some clearance ones, and I picked up some silvers and greens and blues, and I made a decision that I was going to start painting my fingernails again. I kind of told Mike, I just want you to know I think I'm going to keep painting my nails. And Mike was like, I never told you to stop. And I said, no, I know you didn't, but I'm just warning you. Which also reminded me of another conversation we had, because last year I decided, in my old age, I think I've decided I'm going to become more flamboyant. And Mike looked at me and just said, more? And that made me laugh, thinking that, because Mike is so not flamboyant. But I forget that he sometimes sees me as larger than life, and come on, let's be honest, that's what he fell in love with. But, I had a little Mae West going there for a bit. Oh, that's why people love me. Okay, enough Mae West. I'm confusing the youngins out there, who may not have heard of who Mae West was. And, there's a lot of old people who probably don't know who Mae West was too. But Google her sometime and you'll get a surprise. Maybe I'll talk about her sometime because she was an amazing lady. Can you tell I tend to get off topic sometimes? Anyhow, back to the nail polish. So I started doing my nails again. And one of the things I always notice, the first thing, is I still get dirty looks. Not as many as I did when I first did it. And before, it used to bother me. I liked it because I was rebellious. I was a nail polish wearing rebel. Because I wasn't just wearing black, I was wearing silvers, and one called Disco Ball, which was little metal flakes all over my hand. A pain in the ass, but it looked good once you did it. But now now I get looks, but there's so many ugly tattoos out there, and people with stretched out earlobes, and piercings all over their face and body, and I think to myself, you know what, you can put up with me painting my nails if I can put up with that crap. The fact that you looked in a mirror and walked out in those clothes, you have no right to judge anyone. So that's where I kind of got my confidence to paint my nails again. Not to mention Target was really good with it. They never, gave me trouble. But I find that I surprise people when I say that it's older people that actually seem to be more okay with it. I love being at the cash register and old ladies will be like, oh, I love your nails. They're wonderful. And, I wish I could, get my nails looking that good. And, it just makes me happy. And I don't go to like a manicurist or anything. I do it myself. So it's always, everything I do is kind of raw and, unpolished, even even when I do my nails. So this show is like that. I just like doing things like that. I don't like to rehearse a lot of things. I like people to, this is how I am. And, you know, I'm not polishing my nails to win awards. I'm polishing my nails because I like how they feel when I do it. Kind of like a confidence builder in me. It makes me a little unique. In fact, an old man the other day came up to me and was talking to me, and then he realized my nails were painted, and he said, "Oh, I just realized your fingernails are painted." He had a bit of an accent, and I said, "Yes." "Oh." And I said, "It's just me. It's just what I do." And then I thought he was going to say something horrible, and then he just basically said, No, you don't have to explain yourself. That's what makes people unique. They do their own thing. And I love that. And I remember a friend of mine, a woman I work with, Heather Curto, her dad came up to her and said, "Oh, Devlin's painting his nails again." Like he's painting his nails, not again. He didn't know me. And Heather said, "Yeah, he is. He likes doing it. Are you okay with that?" And Heather's father said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And Heather, being the smart ass she is, was like, "So what nails do you think he should paint his color? What color should he paint his nails?" And he thought about it, and he said, "Oh, maybe a nice red." And red's always the color that kind of scares me, because that's the seduction color. It's my favorite color. But I always think it's going too far. But I've actually found some nice tones of red that actually work for me. And as I said, I mentioned on Facebook I was painting my nails again. And I had some wonderful, wonderful people who were very supportive. There was nothing negative. As I said, I do get the odd person who looks at me, and I just wipe it off as nothing. But I remember two mothers. I wish I could remember both their names. I know one was Angela Matic, and basically another lady, and I remember them because the stories both touched me. I've got a couple of names in my head, but I don't want to reveal the wrong one. But they actually wrote and said that their sons actually got used to painting their nails, and that they started wearing them regularly. And when they started school, they wanted to continue wearing their nail polish. Now, as I said to you, if I wore nail polish in high school, that would have been it. I would have been labeled a freak. I would have been, and I'm not kidding. The 80s were tough, man. It was tough. You pretty much had to follow basic rules just to get through the day. But these mothers told me that their kids wore nail polish, and it was no big deal. Nothing was said. They didn't get into fights. They didn't. Hopefully that remains that way as long as they want to wear it. But I love to believe that that means that maybe we're heading to a world where we are going to be more accepting of stuff. And I'm not just talking about nail polish, just being different. I sometimes see it. I sometimes see it in the younger generation that, gender isn't always an issue, but then you look further in the world and then you see that no, it's still there. But I'm a dreamer, and I do get negative sometimes, but I think I'm a pretty positive person. So I like to believe that, we might be heading to an accepting world. And, if I choose nail polish to rebel with, there's so many other things I could rebel with, that may, some people do stuff to, like graffiti or, verbally attack people, I could be one of those people on the computer that, go on comments anonymously and rip people apart. And that's how they rebel. Personally, I think that's cowardly, and I would never do that. If I say something that offends, I'm held accountable. I never put, anonymous comments saying, "Oh, that's a horrible thing, you suck." Because it's cowardly, and that's not how I was brought up. So, rebelling with fingernail polish doesn't seem like a big thing, but when you're a man in your 40s, you still get looks. But you don't get horrible looks all the time. I always say that when people give me those looks, I honestly want to say, before you judge me, you should sit down and talk with me for a bit, because I think you might be in for a pleasant surprise. I'm not a conceited person, but I think I am tolerant, and I love to listen and get to know new people. And I hate it when I see judgmental faces, whether it's for nail polish or just what you're wearing or something. I try not to be a snob. I do have my moments, I won't lie. But I try not to judge people on how they are. And if I do, I quickly try to tell myself, well, wait a minute. I should get to know the whole story. I should get to know them. One of the stories I like to tell a lot is I used to work at a place called City Press. And to get to my bus, I'd have to go all the way around this block, which, is not horrible. But being a bigger man, anytime I could get rid of exercise, I will try. And so they would let us cut through this other office, this other building. And I remember there was this, I'd say hi to the people that worked there, and there was one miserable looking man that would just give me a glare, and I'd just glare back. And every day I'd see him, and he'd glare at me, I'd glare back. And I just said, what's that guy's problem? He's so miserable, and, he's judging me, he doesn't even know me. And then I realized that, wait a minute. I never tried to say hello to him. I've never tried to smile at him. So I did a experiment. I decided what I was going to do is I'm going to basically say hello and smile and see what happens. And, if he still doesn't say hello and glares at me, then I know he's a prick. That's not true. I shouldn't say that, but, he might just be having a bad time or something. But anyhow, I started smiling, and I started saying hello. And the next thing I know, within days, he would start saying hello and smiling back, and then I'd even stop for a chat and see how he's doing. And I realized that, wait a minute, he must think I'm the one who's glaring and staring, and he must think I'm the miserable prick. And the experiment worked, and it was a positive thing, and I am so happy I did that. And so it always reminds me that sometimes, you, in life, you get what you give. If you're giving a cynical look towards life, that's pretty much what you're going to get back. But try smiling. Try saying hello. And if you go out there after you listen to this show, smile at someone today. Say hello. See where it leads. Some people are very uncomfortable doing it. I, for one, not so much. But it depends, of course, on the mood I am. There are moods I just want to be in my Walkman, and that's it. Don't talk to me. I just want the music. But there are other times I will just go out there and do that. So my big thing is in a couple of months, I'm going to start having to look for work again. And the first thing I thought of was that, well, not the first thing, maybe one of the 10 things I thought of was that I'm going to have to go back to not painting my nails again. Back to the gloss. But there's a side of me that thinks that maybe I should just apply for jobs. Maybe just wear metallic colors until they get to know me and see what happens. And I'm going to use those kids as an example. I think I'm going to do it because I'm a good worker, and if they're going to just judge me on who I am like that, that's not right, and it probably isn't a place I want to work. So I'm going to use those kids of those mothers that wrote me those incredible stories about their sons daringly wearing nail polish to junior kindergarten their first day and not caring what anybody said. And I'm going to use them as an example and use that as what I'm going to do as far as I know. if they ask me not to wear nail polish, then that's great. As long as I don't see any of the ladies wearing nail polish too. If that's just, I'm working around food or something, and then that's going to happen. But I think I'm going to just be me. Because everybody told me, I've never done interviews before, and everybody told me when you start doing interviews, just be yourself. I did. On the first interview I did, and I wound up working at Target. That may not sound like a good thing now, but at the time, it was pretty damn awesome. So, I'm going to try not to change it up a bit. Anyhow, we're coming to the end of this episode. It went by really fast. I'm enjoying doing these. Thank you again if you made it through another one. And if this was the first one you listened to, look back for the first one, and we'll continue talking about stuff. Not just about me, but it is my favorite subject, to be honest. But I'm hoping to have some guests eventually and do some talking with them and take a break from... Well, I'll still talk with my guests, of course. I'm not just going to let them take over. This is the Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. Now that I got a name, I have to promote it. And thank you for spending another little bit of your time with me. It means a lot. Again, don't be afraid to comment or let me know. Don't be too harsh. I won't talk to haters. But I love getting to know new people. And I love getting to know people I already know. So thank you for spending some more time with me. And I will see you very, very soon. Take care.